Hello there, GB here, and welcome to Fast Forward, where I follow up on episodes of Rewind classic movies to look at what happened after those iconic films came out. Today we're diving back into the slapstick but straight sleuthing sensation that is David Zucker's Naked Gun. We'll look at everything from OJ and the sequels to the reboot and a wacky guest appearance for Frank and Ed on the most unlikely stage. So let's put on our dark cufflinks, grab a bag of pistachios and jump in with a learner driver on the way to fast forward to what happened after 1988's The Naked Gun. The sequels. Naked Gun hit the cinemas again in 1991 for Naked Gun 2.5 The Smell of Fear. Lieutenant Frank Drebin returned to protect Dr. Albert Meinheimer, a respected scientist whose clean energy plans threatened the profits of big oil. It's more of the same, in the best way, packed with visual gags, political satire and innuendo. Innuendo. And the team almost left it there. David Zucker said recently he didn't really want to do a third movie, but in 1994 they released Naked Gun 33 1/3, The Final Insult. Early drafts focused on a plot involving Drebin investigating corrupt televangelists. The working title at one point was The Naked Gun 33 1/3, just for the halibut, which is one of my favourite fish puns. But the studio didn't love it, so we ended up with Drebin retired but pulled back in to infiltrate a terrorist plot involving a bomb at the Oscars. Along the way there's a prison infiltration, a sperm bank mix-up, and Anna Nicole Smith as the new femme fatale. The third outing leans more outrageous and lewder than before, but Nielsen remains the anchor of deadpan brilliance. While neither sequel hit the inspired heights of the original, both kept the franchise's gag-a-second legacy alive. Zucker said he didn't want to do any more, and the concept kind of faded from Hollywood. OJ. Once celebrated as an NFL legend and Hollywood actor, Orenthal James OJ Simpson's life took a dramatic turn after his role as Nordberg. His legacy would be overshadowed by a crime that would dominate headlines worldwide. In June 1994, Simpson was accused of the brutal murders of his ex-wife Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ronald Goldman. The subsequent trial wasn't just front-page news, it became a pop culture spectacle known as the trial of the century. Ultimately, despite substantial evidence, Simpson was acquitted in 1995, sparking heated debates about justice, celebrity and race in America. However, in 1997, a civil court found Simpson liable for the wrongful deaths of Brown and Goldman, ordering him to pay $33.5 million in damages, a sum he largely evaded. I wish this was the end of it, but there's so much more. There was a book deal called If I Did It, where he laid out how he would have committed the murders, a string of legal troubles from money laundering and pirate broadcasting to drugs, a fight on the road and speeding on the water. Incredibly, in 2006, he hosted his own hidden camera prank show called Juiced, which included an episode where he tried to sell a white Ford Bronco like the one he made famous by running from the cops on live TV. He said if someone ever got into some sort of trouble and had to get away, it had escapability. Then in 2008, a botched attempt to reclaim sports memorabilia led to Simpson's conviction for armed robbery and kidnapping, resulting in 9 years behind bars. Let's not forget, this was a guy who was considered by producers of The Terminator to be too nice to play the role of the killer machine. Released on parole in 2017, Simpson would launch a TikTok account where he faced online accusers before he announced he had prostate cancer in 2023. He died in April 2024 at the age of 76. The Naked influence. Here's just some of the filmmakers who say they're either influenced by The Naked Gun or the work of Zucker and co. Seth MacFarlane is apparently a huge Zaz fan and said The Naked Gun and Airplane were formative influences, especially in Family Guy's cutaway gags and absurd humour. He's produced the upcoming Naked Gun reboot starring Liam Neeson, which I'll get onto in a minute. Mike Myers has specifically referenced Zaz's work, especially the Naked Gun films, as inspiration for the Austin Powers series, from exaggerated spy tropes to bathroom humour. The long pee scene in International Man of Mystery is a decent example. South Park's Trey Parker and Matt Stone praised Zucker's ability to mix slapstick with social commentary and said they grew up loving Naked Gun and Airplane. They starred in 1998's Basketball, which was written and directed by David Zucker. Simon Pegg praised Zaz and Naked Gun for creating a spoof that works as a standalone film, a model he and Edgar Wright followed in Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead. He said, "You're not just making fun of a genre, you have to love it, like Zaz did." During the Get Smart press tour, Steve Carell revealed The Naked Gun was his blueprint for how to play clueless but confident characters straight. You can see shades of Drebin in Anchorman's Ron Burgundy, and Will Ferrell described Naked Gun as a masterclass in escalating stupidity and called Nielsen's commitment to deadpan delivery inspiring. At a press Q&A for What We Do in the Shadows, Taika Waititi referenced Naked Gun and Police Squad as inspiration for mixing absurdity with straight-faced characters in his vampire mockumentary. Finally, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, creators of the Lego Movie and 21 Jump Street, called the Naked Gun a masterclass in visual storytelling through gags. Their style of blink and you miss it jokes is directly in that lineage. The Reboot. David Zucker has recently said he was trying to make Naked Gun 4 for years. He wrote a script called Naked Gun 4 Nordberg Did It, later renamed Naked Impossible as it moved away from a cop in LA to a security guard elsewhere in the world, and later renamed it again to Counterintelligence, but with one L. He says he handed it to Paramount in 2018 and the studio thought it was hilarious. He said, "Everything I'd learned has gone into this." But he claims a female president at Paramount was nervous about a joke about a woman having a breast reduction to fit into a Kevlar vest. She reportedly told him, "I don't know if you can do that." Zucker says he never heard any more until he woke up around 2 years ago to hear that Seth MacFarlane was doing a reboot. He compared watching the new trailer to watching Two Girls, One Cup and wouldn't have cast Liam Neeson in the role. Zucker says he's a fine actor, but it's the wrong concept and Hollywood no longer understands comedy. His view, from the trailer, is the reboot gets the tone wrong and misuses CGI. He said the job was given to MacFarlane because he has some huge successes like Ted, and Hollywood thinks of him as some kind of god. He claims MacFarlane used to meet with him and the pair had a 15-minute chat where Seth said how much he worships everything Zucker did like Naked Gun. And he claims Seth didn't know that he already had a script. Zucker even claimed Paramount offered him a couple of $100,000 to do nothing but have executive producer David Zucker on the movie titles. The OG director now hopes to make a smaller movie, and then if that does okay, still plans on making the Counterintelligence script, which he believes truly could have revitalised the franchise and made another trilogy. I'm sure we'll do an episode about the reboot when the movie comes out. That may be a Patreon special or something, but we will definitely cover it, because I'm definitely going to see it in the cinema. MasterCrash. If you're an aspiring comedy writer or director and want to learn from David Zucker himself, then you're in luck. Zucker is about to start selling a course called MasterCrash about the 15 rules of his spoof comedy writing, which is in itself a spoof of the Masterclass celebrity educational platform. He says the trailer for the reboot already broke 5 of his as yet mysterious rules for writing, directing and editing. He says he doesn't know how much the course will cost yet, but it will be a lot more than $100. And finally, I'm getting into the habit of ending on a bit of a wacky one, and this is as good as any so far. In 1994, the characters of Police Squad joined, and you would never guess this, the World Wrestling Federation. Leslie Nielsen and George Kennedy, Frank and Ed, recorded a series of skits to promote the pay-per-view event SummerSlam, then joined 80,000 people in the United Center in Chicago for the live show as they tried to track down The Undertaker, who had mysteriously gone missing. Or something. Of course, they kept coming up short in all sorts of amusing ways, but there was a decent dose of classic Naked Gun humour. Anyway, join me and AJ next week for the main Rewind show, as we'll be going to 1996 to talk about a film where a theoretical old James Bond is played by Sean Connery in Michael Bay's best film, which directly caused the Iraq War in 2003. That's not even a joke. I cannot wait. Sorry about the mess. See you next time.